Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. At this time, I'll call the Paulding County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting for May 30th to order. And I don't see any elected officials tonight. If you bring the citizens wishing to speak. I'm going to ask my friend Jason Phillips to return thanks, and then we're going to have Troop 687, led by Ryan, post the colors for us and lead us in the pledge. Stand if you're able.
Dear Lord, we come to you now, and we thank you for this opportunity to gather to do the county's business. Lord, we ask that you would be in this room. We ask that you would be with commissioners, be with the staff, and Lord, help us to make decisions that are consistent with your will. Give us the wisdom that these folks need and the information that these folks need to make decisions that are for the good of the county. Lord, we thank you. Father, we just this past Memorial Day, days ago, we thank you for those families and those men and women that have given their lives in service of the country. Father, it hits me in particular. I had a roommate, passed away in service of this country. A little Memorial Day is a very important thing. When we lift up those families that have left loved ones behind, we ask that you would be with them. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Will you please rise for the presentation of the colors? Color guard attention. Color guard advance. Color guard halt. Color guard face the colors. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Color guard prepare to retire the colors. Color guard advance. Color guard halt. Color guard dismiss.
Boy Scout Troop 687, thank you very much for being here with us tonight and presenting that. Under minutes, action to adopt the May 14th, 2019 work session minutes and the May 14th, 2019 board meeting minutes and the May 13th, 2019 town hall minutes. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion. May 14th.
We have a motion by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries 5-0. I've got an announcement that I should have made this morning. It comes from our tax commissioner, Bill Watson. I'm just going to read it here. The city wants to express its gratitude to Paulding County citizens for being patient and working with his office during this the state software upgrade that they've been involved in. So they don't know exactly how long the lines are going to be for a few days, but through the hard work of the staff, as well as the information technology staff, this transition has gone very well so far. So he would like to publicly express his thanks to these two departments and any others involved with this conversion, which included over the holiday weekend. Invited guests, we have none. Bid awards, none. Reports from committees and departments, none. Public participation on agenda items. We'll start with Michael Miller on 2019-07-Z. Michael, are you here? Sure he's here.
Hi, I apologize, maybe I didn't need to sign that, but I'm Michael Miller with Piedmont Residential, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the zoning case coming ahead, so I apologize if I got ahead of the card there.
No problem at all. We also have Teresa Huggins, Ruth Huggins, actually. Ruth Huggins, and she's going to talk about 2019-08 special use permit. Ruth, you here?
Yes.
Yes, I'm Ruth Huggins. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, this procedure, it's been a while. Yes, I'm representing Thomas Kyle Bagby for a special use permit on 3.843 acres for parking and storage facility for recreational vehicles, boats, cars, and trucks. And there were two special stipulations required, and we have agreed to those stipulations. And I believe the staff has approved our application.
I think it would be, I do want to have some discussion on this, but I think it would probably be best to bring that up when we get there to that item in the agenda.
That's typical. What we do, Ruth, is
Okay.
when we get to that part of the agenda here,
Okay, thank you.
we'll ask some more questions. Thank you. Consent agenda, action to approve the 6 consent agenda items. So I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Under old business, we have none. Under new business, number 1 is action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign a quitclaim deed for .346 acres to Walter K. Burnett and Cherie Schaefer along Robertson Road. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I believe this is connected with an abandonment, is that correct?
Yes.
And so this motion approving it would authorize the abandonment as well.
We'll add that to the minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Commissioner Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. New business number 2 is action to adopt ordinance number 19-02, a resolution for the adoption of an ordinance amending the development regulations for Paulding County, Georgia, amending Article 10 regarding floodplain management / flood damage preventions. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Approved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 3 is action to accept the assignment of contractual rights from the Paulding County Airport Authority in the agreement executed October 22nd, 2013 between the Paulding County Airport Authority and Silver Comet Terminal Partners, LLC regarding the payment of bonded indebtedness, and authorize the chairman to sign all necessary documents related to the action item. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Caker, second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 4 is action to approve change order number 1 to the contract with IHC Construction in the amount of $20,172.36 for the Copper Mine Headworks Improvement Project. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 5 is action to authorize the chairman to sign a lease agreement with Creekside Church for the use of the Wayne Kirby Community Center for worship services. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Approved by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second? I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. And business number 6 is action to approve funding for the change order number 3, not to exceed $251,310, covering site lighting and visitation center soil soil remediation for the Paulding County Adult Detention and Law Enforcement Center. This is an increase to the existing construction contract with Turner Construction Company. Funding is available from within the program allowances and contingencies. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion approved by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Number 7 is action to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Hiram to allow for the use of SPLOST funds to improve the Hiram Ruritan Park.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Hart. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Number 8 is action to appoint Commissioner Sandy Caker as a board member of the Paulding County Economic Development Incorporated for a term ending December 31st, 2019. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed?
And I abstain.
We have, motion carries 4-0 and 1 with 1 abstention. Number 9 is action to appoint Ken Thigpen as a board member of the Paulding County Economic Development, Inc., with a term ending December 31st, 2019. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Stover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Caker. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 10 is action to appoint Amanda Kushka as a board member of Paulding County Economic Development Incorporated with a term date ending December 31st, 2019. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Caker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 4-1. Number 11 is action to adopt Resolution 19-13, confirming executive session for the purposes of personnel. I hear a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries 5-0. We'll move over to the Planning Commission business. This begins with 2019-08 SUP application by Thomas Kyle Bagby for a special use permit on approximately 3.843 acres for parking and storage facility for recreational vehicles, boats, cars, and trucks. Property is located at event lot 387-406, District 2, Section 3, north of the Atlanta Highway on the west side of Summerhill Connector. The Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval with a 4-1-1 vote with 2 stipulations. Do I hear a motion?
Dave, I want to get to some discussion on this, but we need to endorse it in a second. First, I'm going to lead with a motion to approve with the two listed stipulations.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll say.
A second by Commissioner Stover. We have a motion and a second, and let's open it up for discussion.
Thank you. There's some concern on this, the overlay district, and the way that, sorry, not the overlay district, but the buffer between residential and business zonings requires a 40-foot buffer. And we've been working this afternoon. I was unfortunately out of town till late last night, so I've been working on this today. And we've been trying to work with all property owners involved. And unfortunately, before this meeting, we weren't able to contact everyone, so we may have some of that discussion here, which is fine. We can do that. But the concern is that the ordinances require a 40-foot buffer, but the 40-foot buffer says it can be either undisturbed or it can be replanted. I visited the place where this is, specifically the buffer, the long buffer, the long line. I'm not sure that's the eastern buffer of that property. But where it borders residential. The concern is that if that is cleared and replanted with a couple of rows of trees, it's going to significantly impact the use and function and enjoyment of the land that is there for use as pasture. I was there and I would agree with that concern. So the question is, and I talked to Brian, and I think Mr. Rand is here, and it does engineering. I understand Brian had talked to Mr. Rand about, is it feasible, and I know Mr. Rand's not the applicant, but is it feasible that we can have this buffer be undisturbed and left as is? And so is there someone, are you able to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, I'm here to speak on behalf of that.
Appreciate it. Just, I knew you were, we just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
So, is it agreeable that we can make that an undisturbed buffer across where it's bordering the residential? We talked about.
Are you talking about the north line where it adjoins Mr. Cole's property? Is that the
Well,
line you're speaking of?
it would be all residential. So there's a little corner where it touches some of the neighborhood that's next to it, and then Mr. Cole's property line is the line that I'm talking about. Obviously, where it borders the Shrine Club, I believe that doesn't require the buffer because of the zonings. But where business meets residential, there's that 40-foot buffer.
Right, which is pretty significant, 40-foot buffer is what is required, and, of course, we agree to that.
So-
And to say that, we really need to get further into the site plan and also in conjunction with the staff, during the plan review and so forth, to figure out exactly what would be the best thing to do. Because it may be that the best thing is to leave it undisturbed, but it also may be that we can't leave it undisturbed. I know there's some runoff water problems coming from the neighbor, from up the hill, and that part can't be undisturbed. We're going to have to do something to address that. So we'd really like to leave it, a part of just the site plan and staff review, and not commit to an absolute 40 feet undisturbed buffer. It's not
What
a-
could you commit to?
Well,
I
Mr.
I asked you, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, I asked you to see it from Mr. Cole's side of the fence.
Mhm.
He understands, and I've been there, he understands that it's not his land and it's going to be developed.
Right.
He gets that. The concern that I think is a valid concern is that his use of his land would be significantly impacted should all of that, including the 40 feet up to the property line, would be gone, and a couple of rows of cypress trees put in. Because that's typically what happens when you clear and replant, is a couple of rows of trees, and they grow over time. But that leaves them staring at the backside of an RV park. So what might you be able to work out?
We would agree to a 10-foot undisturbed buffer. And that would allow us, still some flexibility with what we need to do.
I'll do a question for Chuck, probably. In that area, it looked like the drainage is coming through this area that's undisturbed anyway, is that correct, with the drawings that we got?
Yes.
The way the topo maps look like, all
Yes.
the main water's coming right through that area
Yes.
as you look at, just keep undisturbed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with that. There's a significant issue that has to be addressed, and we will address that in accordance with staff recommendations. But, as it stands right now, it's already zone B2, and, it's got the 40-foot buffer, and we will agree, we would agree to a 10-foot undisturbed buffer. There has to be some grading on that property, on that
I
40 feet.
understand.
There has to be some grading.
I understand that there's a.
I mean, and even to address the drainage, we don't know what kind of grading may be necessary
So,
to fix that problem.
so the part of it that as I understand by looking at the maps and the plans that have been submitted, the part of it that looks most likely that would be graded is the higher part of the land that's closer up to Summerhill, closer up to where the property line between this property and Mr. Cole's is closest to Summerhill.
It's the part that's closest to the Shriners facility and the part that's closest to the cottage cove. Well, that's the higher elevation.
Right, okay. I guess the point though, that I was kind of going over there is there's not that much distance between that property line and Summerhill anyway, so.
Well, it's a function of during the development process, the dirt has, a lot of the higher elevation has to be moved over to level out that site. And, we will need to do grading to make the project work. And as I said the other day, we're not looking to be a bad neighbor or anything like that, and we would like to work this out as best we can. But to give up, just to say that we're not going to disturb that 40 feet when that may be necessary to do the development, we just can't commit to that. But we will, we will be glad to say that there will be a 10-foot undisturbed buffer, which should provide a row of trees that seems to be the concern. I don't know what, is that a concern? Is the visibility?
Well, the visibility is one. You also have light. I've got some questions for Chris here in a minute about lighting. But you've got visibility, lighting, and noise. Those existing trees are what that 40-foot undisturbed buffer, as it sits now, would shield from. And if you cut that by a fourth, or 3/4, leaving a quarter of it remaining, it doesn't really, granted it's better than zero, but it doesn't really adequately buffer that property in the way that property needs to be buffered.
Well, I mean, that's what's required, by our development regs, it's 40 feet. I mean, it's a 40-foot buffer, and then if we disturb it, we plant trees to address that issue.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Davis, I may just clarify one thing from the applicant. Just to be clear, you're agreeable that there's got to be a 40-foot buffer? And to
Yes.
clarify your position, essentially what you're saying is 30 feet of it you would like to have as a landscape buffer, but you are also willing to do the remaining 10 as an undisturbed buffer.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I have some questions for Mr. Robinson. We could ask Mr. Robinson to the podium. Chris, this reads into the second stipulation here, mentions the highway corridor overlay district. Lighting regulations apply there. Can you give some information on the type of lighting and the height?
Yes, sir. Highway corridor overlay district, which we're putting a stipulation in there and recommended that, requires a box shielded lighting, and the maximum height is 30 feet.
That's the shielded lighting.
That's the shielded. Correct. The main purpose is not to spill lightage over adjoining residential properties.
Before you run away there. When we talk about replanting buffers, what do you typically see?
And normally it's a landscape plan that's submitted through the plan review process. The minimum requirement is a 6-foot evergreen type tree at 2 inches at the root ball. And those being a 40-foot buffer, actually, if it's disturbed and you disturb that much of the buffer, you could require 3 rows of planting, which is staggered and it's required a 10-foot offset. So you have 3 rows.
So if they were to disturb 30 feet of a 40-foot buffer, they would be looking at probably 2 rows of trees.
It's for every 10 feet. And so usually with that in there, every time you calculate in, there's going to be at least 3 rows.
It appears to me from looking at photographs that currently it's in hardwoods and just some undergrowth type plants. So it would appear to me that the 3 rows of Leland cypress or some kind of evergreen provide a better buffer for light and noise and visually looking at the vehicles that they park there, certainly than the way it is now.
The way it is now, you can't see through it.
Thank you.
I stood out there today and looked.
Maybe I looked at winter pictures.
I don't know. I stood there this afternoon and looked at it. You can't see through it. Now, can you see through 40 feet of it? Maybe.
I think there were pictures taken in the winter time.
So, Chris, is there, in your recollection, in past cases, is there other ways to amend the replanting of a disturbed buffer to maximize the buffer?
Yeah,
Like
the main purpose in ordinance provides some examples is that you can anything that can provide a screening could include some type of mesh type opaque fence could be included in there. That's things that's been used in the past also. And even adding something besides just a tree. We may look at it and say, hey, you need to plant some shrubbery or some other greenery in there to provide some shielding.
And would the applicant be agreeable to fence? 10 feet of fence?
Of course, there will be a fence. You know, there will be a fence.
A fence other than Mr. Colt's pasture fence?
Yeah. The property will be fenced, yes.
Is that
Probably
cheap?
fenced, and you're asking if they would be willing to put the fence screening material on the fencing itself as a visual barrier, probably sound and light as well. And I believe he would be willing to do that as well on that north line.
So that fence would be 40 feet off of the property line?
I'm not sure about that. I believe.
Closer than that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's what we
yeah,
think.
that's right.
At least 40 feet.
Right.
It may shift depending on 15, but it can't go inside the 40. So theoretically, what we're talking about, based on what I
That's right,
understand,
yeah.
what I understand that the applicant could be agreeable to is 10 feet undisturbed, 30 foot, up to 30 foot disturbed, replanted, as Chris mentioned, with 3 rows of cypress, and then a fence, fencing the property for the, obviously for the vehicles that are
Yes.
parked there, with privacy screening
Yes,
between the business and the residential portions.
yes.
If I'm reading your mind, I think the options at this point would be, you can withdraw your motion. The motion has been made and seconded as approval with 2 steps. You can withdraw your motion, or there can be a motion to amend your approval, which has to be seconded and voted upon and it passed. Then you will consider the underlying motion as amended. The easier thing is to withdraw a motion, if you're so inclined.
Okay. We having a nice little discussion here. Dave, if it's all right with you, could we ask the other property owner involved to the microphone?
It's all right with me.
Just in an effort to try to get everybody working together and on the same page.
Ronco, I live to the north side of the property adjacent to the property you're talking about. I'm actually a licensed arborist, that's what I do for a living. And if you take a 10-foot buffer and you grade down, you're going to kill the root system to everything in 10 foot. All the trees will die. Just like what I'm dealing with Cottage Cove, it was supposed to be a 40-foot buffer. I get a letter every 3 months on a dead tree where they've killed the trees. It's cost me thousands and thousands in the last 10 years just to pay a lawyer to say you killed the tree and have it sent, you know. Where they're wanting to put the, I have no problem with growth in this community. I think it's a great thing. But everything from my house, the elevation, I'm going to be above and looking down. And I can see it all. If they grade it down, I'm going to see it. I'm still sitting above it. I would love for them to put a business there, but I would like to have an undisturbed buffer. That land was actually my grandfather's farm. That's where I grew up. And as he told you, I have a big impact on my farm now. The only shade that I have is the buffer that would be there. I've got cattle, I've got goats, I was born and raised on that farm. And it'll be a big impact. I mean, it's all I've got. And my problem with the 10 foot, if you dig down, you're gonna kill the root system to every tree there. I've already been sued. I'm fighting with Cottage Cove every 3 months over trees where they dug a bank that's anywhere from 40 to 60 foot down, straight down. They put a fence right on top of it. The houses are 15 foot from my property line. I can't afford to keep fighting and arguing with people. It's not worth it in life. If they want to leave a 30 plant them a row of cypress, put them fence up, hey, I think it's a great thing. We need business. Our county needs the business. But my farm will die. You can't raise cattle in the heat. It was brought to attention the other day that they said there was 40 foot of buffering from my property line. As Mr. Davis said, he's there today. In my whole pasture, there's 14 trees, correct? Is that what we counted?
Roughly, yeah.
Everything that was on that picture the other day that we was looking at the angle photo, is actually a shadow out in the pasture. There's no trees there. If they want to give me a buffer, they'll never hear nothing else from me. I actually spoke to Mr. Bagley on this case before it ever become for zoning. I went and talked to somebody, he never called, never, you know. And Mr. Bagby actually sent me a message, he gave him my number, and I tried to talk to him before all this. But if you leave 10 foot and you put the trees down through there, they're gonna die, so what's the use? That's how we live. That's how I was raised. That's all I know. I raised my own. I raised my beef, my chickens. It's everything right there. That's how I live. And I hate to be forced out to go somewhere else from something that my grandparents has had since 1940, I believe. So that's just the way I feel about it. Thank you for your time.
Chris, as we get into plan review and that sort of thing, what can be done to minimize the risk of the loss of that 10-foot buffer, as he was talking about?
I would have to probably recommend at this time that that buffer area be looked at as a tree save type situation where professional arborists would need to come out and check the trees and protect them in that way. But that's not a requirement of the quality of zoning ordinance.
Questions, comments? Mr. Davis, you're interested in amending the motion?
I withdraw my motion. Make a motion to deny.
Okay. You want those separate?
The motion's been withdrawn. And presently, there is a motion to deny. It will be in need of a second.
Right. Motion withdrawn. Another motion to deny. Is there a second? Hearing no second, I'll ask for another motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve with the 2 listed stipulations and a 3rd stipulation requiring 10-foot undisturbed buffer, replanted up to 30 feet buffer, and privacy screening along the fence between the business and the residential properties.
Second.
motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Hart. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed?
Nay.
Can you vote nay or no?
Yes.
Just learn something. Motion carries 4-1. 2019-06-Z is application by Delbert and Signs to rezone approximately 3.49 acres from R2 suburban residential to B1 general business for commercial use. Property is located in land lots 330 and 391, District 2, Section 3, south side of Macklin Road, east of Ragsdale Road. In Phase 1, the recommendation P&Z board was 5-0-1 with 7 stipulations. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve with 7 listed stipulations.
Motion to approve stipulations. There a second?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Caker. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 2019-07-Z, application by Piedmont Residential, LLC, to rezone approximately 33.295 acres from PRD planned residential development to R55 active adult residential district for the development of a senior living community. Property is located in land lots 533, 534, 535, District 3, Section 3, south side of Southern Hills Connector, north of Oak Glen Drive in Post 4. The recommendation is approval with a vote of 501 with 12 stipulations. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, before there's a motion, I want to make sure, for clarity's sake, are these stipulations correct from the Planning Commission?
Thank you. Actually, there is technicality on this one in our efforts to print up the Planning Commission recommendations where they deleted and changed a couple. There was an error, and if it's okay with the board, I would like to correct that at this point prior to any consideration.
Please make that correction.
On the printed stipulations where you have 12, actually stipulation number 11 on here should be deleted. And they're actually, that would make number 12, 11, and then what's listed as would be 13 is now would be number 12 is the one that was left off. That reads, owner developer agrees to dedicate all sanitary sewer easements to Pawnee County at the time of final plan. That was left off. So I want to make that correction. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. So we still have 12 stipulations, and I'll accept the motion. Motion to approve by Commissioner Stover with all 12 stipulations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Conclusion of regular business. There's no one who signed up to speak on non-agenda items. No executive session required tonight. This time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Adjourned by Mr. Davis. I'll second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.